So to bring some folks into our pre-record discussion, it involved a guy that made his first career interception in this game. And despite making his first career interception, that maybe some people with that type of introduction had never heard of. No, this is the most famous, at least defensive player on the field by far, maybe in the nation, Jabrill Peppers, who has since been awarded the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. And I know I had some initial thoughts of it, and I needed to verify whether my thoughts made a whole lot of sense. And I think you did a much better job of describing why Jabrill Peppers is a fine defensive player, a fine player, and we know the versatility, and I think that overshadows the actual productivity at his assigned position, which has turned into a Defensive Player of the Year on a team that may have the best defense in the Big Ten, if not the country.
Yeah, it's, I always am hesitant to talk about Jabrill Peppers because there's a fine line between having respect for him and being considered, someone that just hates on him. I wrote an article actually about a week and a half ago on Peppers, just talking about why he shouldn't be a Heisman contender. Compared him to, I went in depth looking at this, on what makes Jabrill Peppers such a great player and why should he be a Heisman player. So I broke it down to his linebacker play, for him to be a primarily defensive player. He's a linebacker first. So I compared him to a few other linebackers within the Big Ten. I did to grayscales with Indiana, and Jerome Baker with the Buckeyes, who plays the same position as Peppers. And, all their stats were better than what Peppers had, even Baker, who didn't even start till week 3 of the season. So then I looked into the return yards. I compared him with, I just picked 3 of the kick returners kind of right around him. He didn't separate himself there. So he didn't separate himself at the linebacker spot. He didn't separate himself at the return spot. So then I compared to, what makes Jabrill Peppers so good. And it was, his ability to do a lot of things. And as I said in it, he's jack of all trades, master of none. So I actually compared him to Adoree Jackson before Adoree Jackson blew up on Saturday. So it kind of worked out perfect. But I brought up how you've got another defensive player in Jackson, who actually is one of the most dominant corners in the nation. He's also a great returner, and he plays offense for the Trojans. So, I'm not saying, and I even said it in the article, Peppers is a very good player. I would take him on the Buckeyes in a heartbeat. I doubt he would be playing linebacker, but, any team would be dumb not to take him. He's going to go on to the pros. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to do good things. I just do not get the Heisman consideration for him, how he's winning Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he just won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and his stat line in conference play rounding up was an average of 5 tackles per game, 1 tackle for loss, 20 kick return yards, 15 punt return yards, and 16 rushing yards. Those are all, cool that he can do a bunch of things, but what part of any of that makes him Player of the Year or, anything? So that's my thing with him, is he is a great athlete. He is going to be a great pro, but he's just not Player of the Year, Heisman quality based off of his stats that he is providing. So it just kind of confuses me. And as I talked about today, at this point, we just have to respect the hype that everyone has built up around Peppers and just kind of move on, because there's nothing we can do to stop it. The hype train's moving forward, and just sit back and enjoy the ride, I guess.